Lingo and Waihe'e, they have not shown up yet, but they are on the script over here. So I'll let you know we'll try to let you know if they don't come.
Okay. There's Governor Wahe and who?
Lingo.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're supposed to sit right there in the first row.
Okay. Ready now.
Go ahead.
Good to see you.
Members of the House and Senate, please be seated. Members of the House and Senate, please be seated.
We have a joint session of the 27th Legislature. Please come to order. Before receiving the governor's message, I would like to recognize some of our honored guests. Lieutenant Governor Shen Tsutsui, Chief Justice Mark E. Rechtenwald, Ms. Colette Machado, Chair, Office of Hawaiian Affairs, other distinguished guests join us in the House chambers this morning. Dr. Nancy Caraway, former Governor George R. Ariyoshi and Mrs. Jean Ariyoshi. Former Governor John Wahe and Mrs. Lynn Wahe. former Governor Ben Cayetano and Mrs. Vicky Cayetano. And former Governor Linda Lingo. Admiral Brian Antonio, United States Pacific Command. And Colonel Jeffrey Davis, United States Marine Corps, Forces Pacific. Associate Justice Paula A. Nakayama. Associate Justice Simeon R. Akoba Jr. Associate Justice Sabrina S. McKenna. Associate Justice Richard M. Pollock. Our old friend, Mayor Kirk Caldwell, City and County of Honolulu. Council Chair Ernest Y. Martin, City and County of Honolulu. And Council Chair J. Ferrario, County of Kauai. And Council Chair Gladys Beiser, County of Maui. Mr. Scott Dubois, Consul General, Australia. Mr. Toye Shigeeda, Consul General, Japan. Mr. Young Kil Soo, Consul General, Korea. Mr. Julio Torres, Consul General of the Philippines. Ms. Kusama Kure, Dean Consular Corps of Hawaii. Mr. V.C. Chu, Director General, Taipei Economic and Cultural Office. The chair hereby appoints the following legislators to escort the Honorable Neil Abercrombie, Governor of the State of Hawaii, to the rostrum. On behalf of the House, Representative Scott Saiki and Representative Aaron Johansson. On behalf of the Senate, Senator Les Ihara and Senator Sam Sloan. The chair hereby requests the following legislators to present letters to the governor. On behalf of the House, Representative Karen Awana, and on behalf of the Senate, Senator Jill Dokuda. All right, members, since you're standing up, members of the 27th Legislature, ladies and gentlemen, Please join me in extending our warmest aloha and welcome to the Governor of the State of Hawaii, the Honorable Neil Abercrombie.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you. And congratulations, Joe. All the best to you. I will. Mr. Speaker, Madam President, former governors, distinguished justices of the courts, representatives of our congressional delegation, and members of the Hawaii State Legislature, elected officials, honored guests, family and friends, aloha. Before I continue with my remarks, I want to just emphasize an introduction, if I might. I've had the great fortune in my life of having two mothers. My mom, Vera, lived here with me in Hawaii for many, many years and had the privilege and the great good fortune to be able to have as her companion here my other mother, to whom I am hanai, Auntie Aggie Cope. Auntie, love you. And I have had the great good fortune as well to continue to have the company of my wife and partner, Dr. Nancy Caraway. My friends, politics isn't a hobby or a pastime. At its center, politics is community, and we as office holders are obliged to address the greater good of the larger community. At its heart, politics is about doing good and relieving suffering. If politics is done right, it's all about making it better for people. In Mahayana Buddhism, we are admonished to renounce all evil, practice all good, and save the many beings. But when politics gets reduced to slogans or bumper stickers, what is right? What is good? What is wisdom and virtue? Wisdom and virtue to one is grounds for accusation and denunciation to another. Observation can quickly become doctrine, and demands for fidelity to the truth come even more rapidly. In secular political terms, the party line is established, and with today's cyber technology, internet hysteria often takes on a life of its own. Perspective can give way to prosecution or even persecution. We can do better than what we have witnessed lately. The level of discourse in our public policy discussion stands in need of elevation, and I hope to be able to exemplify a bit of that today. Today, it seems everyone's motivation is suspect. An opposing view is likely to be judged that of a fool or a tool of special interests. One's position is not merely faulty or misguided. It is sometimes characterized as the work of someone consciously plotting to destroy the environment, or stealing public benefit for private gain, or willfully corrupting the good and welfare of the community. This is not the model of dialogue and exchange that we want or that we need in Hawaii. The virus of absolutism, now infecting the Congress of the United States, appears to be seeping into Hawaii. Whether it's the use of public lands or dealing with gun violence, determining who may marry, decreeing how we are to be born or how we are to die, even caring for the sick or preparing the young children for life, are opportunities sometimes for a mocking dismissal or even patronizing skepticism. This absolutist attitude eliminates the human dimension from our political discourse. The absolutist has answers for everything and questions about little or nothing. I think perhaps it may be time to step back a bit and take a few deep breaths. In the wake of Senator Akaka's request that we let a sense of aloha enter our lives more deeply, Could we not try a little harder to practice aloha with each other? Could we not express some generosity of spirit for each other, both in our deliberations and in our decision-making? As I set about organizing my thoughts for today and reflected on the political atmosphere, I concluded that what we confront today is a situation of what might be called political jeopardy. In the game of Jeopardy, everyone already has the answers. The challenge is to figure out how to frame the right questions. We're so busy telling each other what the answer is, so certain we already know what needs to be done, that we can ignore the questions behind our pronouncements. My thought is, irrespective of what we are for or against, we cannot allow ourselves to preempt the raising of pressing questions we need to comprehend and address, lest we lose our way before we even begin to understand where we need to go or what path to take. We need look no further than the question of unfunded liabilities. How do we address recurring needs like paying for health care benefits and exploding pension deficits and the means to finance them on a recurring basis? How do we make use of our resources and assets, both public and private, with continuing investment security in the future? The Public Land Development Corporation is but one example of an attempt to answer the question and the struggle of coming out of the worst recession in memory. What we cannot do is allow controversy over the answer to this or any other challenge to preempt the asking or facing up to the questions before us. And then there is the greatest unfunded liability question of all, the failure to address early childhood development and education in Hawaii. Leaving our keiki unprepared for elementary school puts them at a crippling disadvantage in terms of being able to meet the demands the future will make on them. These questions and the questions which follow require us to embrace our island values and steward our precious island home to become more self-sufficient, more self-reliant, more self-sustaining. We must move from the status quo and provide for future generations of Hawaii. Therefore, our primary and priority initiatives need to be aimed at preparing ourselves as we assess the demands of the 21st century. We need to look at state government and the budget, our energy goals, our economy, our kupuna, and our keiki. First, the question of the state budget. Unlike some of the fiscal uncertainties and the core fundamental economic issues facing the federal government, our state stands on a solid financial footing and has a stable financial outlook. 2 years ago, our administration had just taken office amidst an extremely difficult fiscal and economic outlook. As a state, we faced a daunting $1.3 billion potential budget shortfall for the fiscal biennium years 2011 through 2013. But as a result of our collaborative efforts here in the legislature and elsewhere, the shared sacrifice and judicious administrative action we were able to take, the year-end balance for the fiscal year 2011 was $126 million. And for fiscal year 2012, $275 million. For this year, which ends in approximately 5 months, we are again looking at a healthy, positive balance. I want to thank the legislature for your collaboration in this process. I want to thank the public. I want to thank the public. I want to thank their taxpayers and our businesses for weathering these difficult times. Thank you to those state employees who agreed to labor savings and additional payments for health benefits. There was no way we could have balanced our budget and achieved today's fiscally favorable outlook without the commitment of all those public workers, and I want to acknowledge it. Because of that sacrifice, we were able to support our workforce and avoid massive public worker layoffs. We have maintained our pension benefits for our retirees. The question is, will we be able to secure these benefits for today's and future workers? For the record, this is not Wisconsin. This is not Michigan. This administration is not going to abandon collective bargaining. But neither will it bankrupt the future for all by buying some temporary solution that does not address the fundamental fiscal issues we cannot escape. Because we did what needed to be done, because we were able to restore critical public services such as agriculture and elevator inspections, vector control, restaurant inspectors, these are the kinds of issues we were able to address. We achieved unprecedented success in earning a high bond rating and being able to finance state construction at impressively low interest rates. That means our tax dollars stretch farther in improving the state's infrastructure and in creating the jobs that come with capital improvements. It is for these reasons that we have now turned a fiscal corner. As of July 1st, 2013, the 5% pay reductions will end for state workers and full pay will be restored. Good faith collective bargaining negotiations are essential if we are to move forward toward a resolution that is fair to everyone, fair to our employees who create public value every day, fair to our taxpayers, and fair to future generations. Tourism numbers and profits are on a steady rise. Construction is vigorous and growing, and unemployment is back down to the low rates we enjoyed before the recession. The recent bond sale of more than $800 million, along with historic low interest rates at 2.6%, is a positive indicator that the bond raters, the marketplace, and its investors consider Hawaii's fiscal condition to be sound. The question is, will we continue to invest in the economy via construction and repair and maintenance projects and public-private ventures? Not only is this important to ensure that communities, schools, and our residents continue to have much-needed infrastructure, buildings, and improvements, but we can do so at these historic low interest rates, saving the state millions of dollars in debt service. More importantly, these projects could mean the state not only will be investing back into our economy, but through partnerships, generate needed revenue not otherwise available. I've asked Lieutenant Governor Shan Setsui to take a lead role in working to expedite addressing this opportunity. I welcome the new Lieutenant Governor here today as my partner. Lieutenant Governor? Formerly President of the Hawaii State Senate, he is a valued addition to this administration. He is exactly the sort of young and able public servant leader that Hawaii needs. He is taking the place of another young and capable leader, Brian Schatz, our new senior United States Senator. Senator Schatz joins a congressional team with our vigorous senior representative, Colleen Hanabusa, in the House of Representatives, and Senator Akaka's dedicated and committed successor, Senator Mazie Hirono. Joining a team that for the first time in the 53-year history of the state of Hawaii will not have Senator Daniel Inouye at its helm. For many of us, we have never known a time when Senator Inouye was not the center of our political life. But while his physical presence may no longer be with us, the spirit of his example of public service sets an unmatched standard we can only aspire toward. Senator Schatz joins another young leader in the Congress, Tulsi Gabbard, like Senator Inouye, a war veteran, but of this generation. With these bright and energetic young people, Hawaii looks to its future. They understand we can only continue to get good bond ratings and sell them at record low rates by continuing to practice sound fiscal management. As such, a primary budgetary priority is to recapitalize the Hawaii Hurricane Relief Fund and the Rainy Day Fund. When my administration began, we were forced to borrow from both the Hurricane Relief Fund and the Rainy Day Fund. Now that our fiscal house is in order, it's time to pay back those debts, and there are reasons for that. Bond raters look at these reserves and the levels to which they have been restored, Therefore, to keep our favorable ratings and attract investors, we must recapitalize these funds. But we must also deal with the question of the looming cloud of current liability obligations that have not been paid for and that will wreak havoc upon our state's future fiscal stability. During the last few years of the recession, while staring into the face of obligations to retirees, other states and cities nationwide have blinked and have either slashed retirement benefits that were previously earned or even declared bankruptcy. That's why I am asking the legislature to start paying toward our other post-employment benefits. These post-employment benefits are the debt to which I referred. To pay down this liability would require the state to put more than $500 million every year for 30 years. $500 million every year for 30 years. This is a number impossible to meet all at once. I am addressing, therefore, and proposing to address this liability by budgeting $100 million starting this next fiscal year, with plans to continue to pursue payment in the coming years. Next, the question of energy. When we consider long-term financial stability and talk about controlling our own destiny, energy is at the top of the list. 2 weeks ago today, Tesoro Corporation announced it would be closing its refinery here in Hawaii. That means about 200 people will soon be out of work. Our Department of Labor and Industrial Relations stands ready to assist with job assistance for those who will need it. But it also means that Hawaii has only one refinery to process oil to meet our state's energy needs, and we will be importing the rest of our fuel. We face greater exposure to the events occurring elsewhere in the world that affect our fuel pipeline, whether in the Middle East, Asia, on the seas, or at mainland refineries and ports. Therefore, I'm establishing a Hawaii Refinery Task Force, which will be a collaboration of government, energy industries, utilities, and interested stakeholders from various levels of government and the private sector, to immediately work on short-term and long-term findings and recommendations prompted by Tesoro's closure. Reducing our dependence on imported oil will take an equal commitment from all of us. Our new energy future, one that allows Hawaii to utilize and rely upon its fortunate circumstances and geography for renewable energy, is a long but necessary journey. We have already taken several proactive and affirmative steps down the renewable energy road. But along the way, we are facing financing hurdles and policy obstacles that require us to look not only at renewable energies, but at current alternative energy sources that are available now. One of those is liquefied natural gas. This is a resource that would allow us to purchase fuel from American sources and not be reliant on foreign sources, friendly or otherwise. Liquid natural gas will reduce energy costs and reduce our carbon footprint, and is abundant, available, and the technology exists for us to use it now. Our state, our residents, our constituents, our businesses, and communities need relief. To do nothing puts everyone in the state at risk. Empty rhetoric and magical thinking about renewable energies avoids the question. The data is clear. Embarking on a plan and a path to bring liquid natural gas will result in long-term avoided costs, whether those costs are mandated improvements to utility facilities or imported low-sulfur fossil fuels at exponentially growing prices. The energy storm is on Hawaii's horizon. Will we take the necessary steps to weather it? I'm asking the legislature to move forward with us. There is no time to lose. Likewise, there is a false controversy over renewable energy tax credits and the interim administrative rules that were adopted to deal with it. Reasonable limitations and controls upon expenditures, including any tax credits, have been critical to the financial fiscal management and our stable financial outlook. But more importantly, the lack of clarity and confusion by some who were gaming the system created an uneven playing field for the renewable energy companies who were not doing it. It placed taxpayers and even their expert accountants in uncomfortable situations of not knowing whether they were following the tax law correctly. This resulted in the unsustainable growth of the tax credit. Therefore, I've asked my Department of Taxation to work with the legislature to find the appropriate balance and the proper amendments to the tax credit so that we can make the law fair for everyone and maintain a sustainable incentive for the long term. Still, the problem with our reliance on a tax credit incentive is that it principally helps those with the capital means to pay up front for a system. The cost typically is in the thousands of dollars. We need to find an approach that allows all responsible residents to take advantage of Hawaii's renewable energy options, to save money, and to contribute to moving us off of fossil fuels. To that end, I'm happy to announce the Department of Business and Economic Development and Tourism will propose a sensible and fiscally sound financing mechanism that will allow residents, businesses, and organizations to take advantage of renewable energy options. By utilizing monies deposited in a special fund to provide capitalization, we will provide a periodic payment system that can be assessed through a customer's electric utility bill that will amortize the cost of the system over a sustained period, allowing more of us to take advantage of renewable energy in our homes, our businesses, our churches, and our communities. No longer will a photovoltaic system be only available to those who can afford the significant initial investment. Instead, this program will allow users to take advantage now and pay for it over the long run while deriving the immediate benefits. Thank you. If we're going to move forward on energy security and self-sufficiency, then we must also have the ability and resources to invest in these initiatives. It is for this reason that I will be proposing we redistribute the funding from the barrel tax, as well as making this law permanent, so that the monies no longer go into the general fund, but to the initially intended purposes of energy diversification and food safety and security. As we strive to be more self-sufficient and decrease our dependence on imported food, we must give local farmers the tools they need to overcome the challenges that face their industry. To this end, we will aggressively promote state agency purchases of local agricultural projects so that farmers know there is a consistent and regular market for their goods. We will also increase access to capital for farmers and ranchers by expanding the State Department of Agriculture's loan programs. We are supporting the goals of the Hawaii Cattlemen's Council, and I note efforts by Kamehameha Schools to expand cattle ranching on Oahu's North Shore. An integral component to nurturing Hawaii's agricultural industry is the College of Tropical Agriculture and Human Resources, known as CTAR. Under the vigorous leadership of its new dean, Dr. Maria Gallo, CTAR is poised to meet critical research and extension needs if given the support. And I'd like Dr. Gallo to stand and be acknowledged. There she is. She is a great example of the leadership throughout the University of Hawaii that we can count on. If we're going to nurture and expand our local agriculture, if we're going to be talking about how we meet the challenges of the 21st century and ensure that we perpetuate our Hawaii in its natural beauty and environment, the question is, what must we do to keep our watershed areas protected? The Department of Land and Natural Resources Watershed Initiative remains a top priority. Our forests can capture and collect up to 50% more water than through rainfall alone. When forests disappear, Hawaii shrinks its source of water. In the last 200 years, more than half of Hawaii's forests have been lost. The longer we wait to take significant action, the higher the cost will be to reverse the damage, thereby threatening water supplies for future generations. I thank the legislature for providing funding last session, but what we need is a sustainable and ongoing source of funding. I will be asking the legislature to look at alternative methods of funding this critical initiative. One is an increase in the conveyance tax, limited to high-end property transactions, properties valued at more than $2 million. It is estimated this would generate an estimated $10 million for watershed protection. Another approach is to look at a 10-cent fee for single-use checkout bags to go into the Natural Area Reserve Fund. This is estimated to generate an income of $15 million. Just as we need clean water to drink, our coral reefs depend on water free of silt, chemicals, and debris to survive. The Department of Health and its Environmental Health Administration will be proposing new measures to control polluted runoff, protect our streams, and keep our reef environment from harm. What about innovation? While the hospitality industry is fortunate to have Hawaii to rely upon, and while the United States military derives clear advantages from our location, and while construction is rebounding, we must look to diversify our economy in order to grow our economic base. To this end, I will be proposing a Hawaii Growth Initiative, a state investment program focused on building an innovation ecosystem that supports entrepreneurial high-growth businesses and creates high-wage jobs for our people. We intend to provide $20 million of state investment capital that will focus on critical building blocks of research commercialization, entrepreneur mentoring, and the mobilization of startup capital investment. This comprehensive investment program represents a commitment to reinvigorate state efforts to fuel an innovation economy. The Hawaii Growth Initiative will engage with the private sector to start up and grow creative and innovative companies. This initiative will help keep our established industries competitive and create new areas of opportunities to allow our young people to pursue their dreams here in Hawaii. We have examples of that entrepreneurial talent with us today. Dr. Jeffrey Yu is CEO of Kineticore. His company is commercializing research done at the Queen's Medical Center and the University of Hawaii. Kineticore has developed an innovative system that compensates for patient movement during MRIs. This increases immensely the efficiency of performing MRIs and reduces healthcare costs considerably. Tina Fitch from Maui created a company that became a leading provider of software to the travel industry. She is now leading a new software startup, Umicam. Importantly, she is also a mentor to other Hawaii startups to inspire and motivate the next generation of entrepreneurs. Sky Ventures is a company established by Kama'aina's Ellery Kim and Mark Mugiishi, and has created 5 companies that employ more than 200 people. For example, TrueTag Technologies has successfully developed a way to easily authenticate real prescription drugs from counterfeits, and is now looking to expand the manufacturing of its products here in Hawaii. I would like to recognize and ask them to stand for the recognition Dr. Jeffrey Yu, Tina Fitch, Ellery Kim, and Mark Mugiishi. Please stand. Thank you for committing yourselves and your companies to Hawaii. Now comes something that is very, very close to my heart. I would say even pretty emotional for me. There's a connection here that goes beyond words. There are grassroots and farming entrepreneurs as well who want to work the land, improve their communities, and put their neighbors to work. They will be crucial contributors to our economy and our food sustainability. An outstanding example of the synergy of communities and agricultural self-sufficiency can be seen in our Veterans to Farmers program in Waimea, a program that will be extended throughout the state. It is designed to combine classroom and on-farm education by creating operating farms. The program teaches lessees to build and manage greenhouses that produce ready-for-market produce, and they are still working full-time jobs while doing it. The Department of Agriculture, the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, the Department of Labor and Industrial Relations, the Department of Hawaiian Homelands, the University of Hawaii at Hilo, the County of Hawaii, all are working together to bolster this new agricultural venture, keeping Hawaii dollars and workers in this state. Here with us today are the local leaders responsible for this vision and for helping their neighbors to put their hands in Waimea's healing soil. Mike and Tricia Hodson are the owners of Wow Farms. Mike, Tricia, and their great partner, Dave Ruff, have spent endless hours creating this innovative program to help their community, their neighbors, and veterans throughout the state to build a future in farming. I want to commit $3.5 million in this fiscal year to build this community agricultural park that is central to the program. This program is already changing lives. We are fortunate today to have with us Ramona Noah. Ramona is one of the 14 new farmers who has expressed the desire to build a legacy for her family with her new farm. I had the great honor of handing her the very first diploma she has ever received, although she has earned one in our hearts for a long, long time. I want to recognize Mike and Tricia Hodson, Dave Ruff, and Ramona Noah. Please stand. Our veterans not only deserve these opportunities, but they deserve our respect and our support for their sacrifices. Just look around you. 1 out of every 10 people in Hawaii is a veteran. It's vitally important for us to take care. In August 2012, we launched the Hawaii Network of Care website, a state-of-the-art way to make it easy for our veterans to find all the services and support they need. We created the Hawaii Military Veterans Women's Task Force to address the fastest growing group of veterans, affecting more than 12,000 women veterans right here in Hawaii. We have formed the Veterans Treatment Court, partnering with our state judiciary and Veterans Affairs counterparts to help in critical treatment, counseling, and follow-up, while helping to promote low recidivism rates for repeat offenders. In the future, we will partner with the Hawaii Health Systems Corporation to explore an additional veterans home on Oahu and develop multi-service veteran centers in Kahului and Maui, Lehui and Kauai, and Kona on the Big Island. These veterans deserve our full support and we need to recognize and appreciate all they've done for our communities, our state, and our country. Another group just as important and affecting every one of our families is our kupuna. As we look to the future, we must never forget where we came from and to whom we owe our gratitude. Those that came before us sacrificed to help build our state and create the foundation upon which we stand today. To those who have long contributed to our society, we owe much, and we could not ignore their needs. I will be asking the legislature, therefore, to increase the kupuna care budget by $4.2 million and make it permanent. Senior advocates should not have to come back year after year to secure funding. By being a part of the permanent base for the Department of Health and the Executive Office of Aging, we can allow programs to properly plan and rely upon a steady stream of funding. This needs to be seen as an investment, and I must emphasize this. This needs to be seen as an investment that will pay immediate dividends as the aging population of Hawaii grows both in numbers and lives longer. Many Hawaii's residents are products of plantation-era workers, people who worked and toiled in the fields and barely earned a minimum wage in order to afford a better opportunity for their families. Today, there still exists a hardworking sector of our society that deserves continued recognition. These are the working-class residents who earn the minimum wage. The minimum wage currently is $7.25 per hour. It has not increased or been changed for 6 years. 19 other states and the District of Columbia have higher minimum wage rates than Hawaii, with less to confront, much less to confront, in terms of the cost of living. Therefore, I'll be proposing a bill to increase the minimum wage by $1.50 to $8.75 starting in January 2014. Minimum wage earners provide an immediate infusion of dollars into the economy. Everyone is worthy of their labor. Industry and corporations do not lack for support in these halls, neither should those who work the hardest for the least return. The vision of Kaka'ako is about more than buildings. It is about creating a community, a place where its residents can live and work and play. It is for this reason that I'll be proposing a bill that requires the HCDA to develop guidelines to implement the complete streets concept. This is a comprehensive plan that involves all aspects of transportation, including walking and biking, and how these uses can integrate themselves into street-level use for commercial, residential, entertainment, and retail places. And I'm sure that Mayor Caldwell is now smiling. Aren't you? Oh, over here. He's smiling, yes. Kulani. We will reopen the Kulani Correctional Facility by July 1st, 2014. We will restore needed jobs on the Big Island and return more than $5 million a year to Hawaii currently spent on Arizona correctional facilities. This will be a substantial addition to the more than 400 inmates already brought back from incarceration on the mainland. This renewed operational capacity at Kulani will not require any new funds. The new Kulani will work with the University of Hawaii at Hilo to provide inmates who are 2 to 4 years from finishing their sentences with the tools to prepare them to re-enter our community as functioning and participatory members of our society. Last session, the legislature granted our request to fund the Office of Information Management and Technology. It has completed and presented to you a comprehensive plan to improve business processes and to update and consolidate all of our state technology, including healthcare transformation. This will allow us to bring our 3 decades old information technology infrastructure into the 21st century digital age. To that end, we are requesting a significant but much needed investment of general funds and general obligation bonds. Any less in our funding commitments will adversely affect our ability to make this long overdue information transformation journey. This is more than buying technology and hardware. We will be instituting an Enterprise Resource Planning Initiative, the ERP, a collective and collaborative and cooperative interagency plan to integrate and provide a consistency within our state's finances, budget, payroll, human resources, acquisition, assets, and grants. The ERP will also provide better accounting of our taxpayer dollars and allow state government to operate transparently and efficiently. These IT improvements in our ERP initiative will allow our employees to work smarter and not have to work with outdated and inefficient technology and paper-based processes. Modern technology will also provide the tools we need to attract new talent to the state workforce. We'll modernize our tax collection process to empower the Department of Taxation to aggressively and effectively improve its collection of delinquent and overdue accounts. Those that fail to pay their share only unfairly burden the rest of us who are paying what is owed. It's vitally important to invest in and update our IT systems, infrastructure, and internal processes, yes, but especially when it comes to our schools. Our public schools are on an average 65 years old, and many facilities have been ignored due to limited budgets. That means students learning in structures that do not reflect our modern information and technology age. The 21st Century Schools Initiative is a public-private partnership that allows the Department of Education to lease underutilized lands for the purpose of generating income to be used to upgrade existing schools or to construct new schools. A 21st century school provides learning spaces that are flexible and support innovative learning approaches, such as individual project-based learning. The program is based on successful models elsewhere and builds long-term value for local school communities, which benefit from better school facilities, multi-purpose community centers, workforce housing, and other needs as determined by a cross-section of the community. Success will require a community-based policy and planning research approach. Any use of public lands must be compatible with and provide benefits to the surrounding community. Teachers, administrators, students, parents, community residents, and other stakeholders need to play a meaningful role in the planning, design, and partnership between the school and the community. Over the next several months, we'll be convening community meetings to solicit public input and feedback for this groundbreaking initiative. In addition to a new approach to school facilities to meet the needs and opportunities of the 21st century, we are going to transform our teaching and learning in the public schools. I'm pleased to report that great progress in the Department of Education and the Board of Education's strategic plan has taken place. Last year, our students demonstrated unprecedented gains in student achievement. Hawaii was the only state to show gains across the board in every subject and grade level. Supported by the federal government investment of $75 million in the state's Race to the Top grant, now in its third year, Hawaii has become a leader in moving curriculum and instruction in our schools to meet expectations for student learning. Similar to the goals of 45 other states, we want our students to graduate prepared for success in college and career and to be able to compete globally. Accordingly, I'm advocating for an investment and commitment to support the Department of Education and the Board of Education's Digital Materials Initiative to provide students with the learning opportunities they need for this 21st century. Within the next 3 years, we want to provide each of our public school students with current curricular materials on a digital device such as a tablet or a laptop. This initiative takes advantage of the new technology we have for learning and the state's broadband infrastructure. Having students with curriculum materials on a digital device solves the problem of not having enough textbooks or obsolete textbooks. Common curriculum statewide is no easy task, but it has to take place, which is why we're seeking dedicated funds for teacher training to empower teachers with the current instructional innovations. Our students will be engaged in learning and graduate with knowledge and preparation for using these technological tools in college and in the workplace. Now, when it comes to how our students learn and how we treat our keiki, we need serious affirmative action in order to nurture and promote their well-being and preparation. This is the area of early childhood, focusing on best preparing our keiki before they enter our public schools at kindergarten. An alarming number of our children are entering school without the basics needed to succeed in school, including reading, math, and socio-emotional skills. Only 57% of our students who entered kindergarten this year had attended preschool. We know that early years of a child's development are crucial to set the groundwork for a child's behavior and lifelong learning. From birth to 5 years old is when more than 85% of a person's brain development takes place. Our children deserve to have a strong foundation. This is for them and Hawaii's future economic and community development and growth. Investing now in our children's early years of life will pay off dividends down the road in the form of healthy and contributing adults, reduced crime and incarceration, crime costs, and less dependency on social services. These programs must be accessible, affordable, and voluntary for all families. The goal is to ensure that Hawaii's 4-year-olds are healthy, socially developed, and cognitively prepared to learn and succeed on day 1 of kindergarten. Our keiki need to be immersed in a stimulating learning environment and have positive relationships with their families and teachers so they can thrive. Our teachers and children's caregivers need to be supported to help these children succeed. Our approach is ambitious, but it's pragmatic. It allows for all children to be equally prepared to learn, School readiness is the key to efficient and effective learning. By investing in our children, we are investing in our future as well as theirs. A school readiness program is the best possible start you can have in life. I'd like to recognize Chuck Larson, the Executive Director of the Early Learning Center at Seagull Schools, and the preschoolers and his staff who are joining us today and who give us a living, breathing example of what preschool and early childhood development and education can accomplish. Chuck, kids, Chuck's holding up that painting of a motorcycle that I thought was perhaps done out of the Honolulu Museum of Art, but is a product of the imagination and the instruction of the kids at Seagull School, and the kind of thing that we can look forward to when every child in this state has the same opportunity. Hawaii News Now is presenting the whole story thanks to a special TV program put on by the Good Beginnings Alliance. It's called The Power of Preschool. Please check your listings in the newspapers to check for the dates and times that The Power of Preschool will be showing from Thursday through Sunday. Please check for those times and have a look. You're going to really find a tremendous amount of information and insight. You can also read about the Power of Preschool in the complete booklet form, the special report in a special insert featured in Hawaii Business Magazine for this January issue that's available at outlets all over the state. Hawaii Business Magazine for January, the Power of Preschool, the special report from the Good Beginnings Alliance. So, now we return to the Jeopardy challenge. Answers have abounded. Our task, obviously, is to formulate and frame the right questions and the changes we need to make. The hallmark of this election, my friends, was that some members had no opposition either in the primary or the general election. Some members were sent here with 60% plus of the vote. Some were sent here with 70% plus of the vote. This is a strong electoral foundation that enables this legislature to set a new tone, I believe, in its deliberations. Set strident voices aside. You have the faith and trust of an overwhelming majority of your voters. You have the opportunity to authenticate the role of this government by acting in a bold affirmation of the faith and trust that the voters have placed in you. For more than half a century, Hawaii legislators have played a leading role on progressive issues, from civil rights to labor law to education and health care. You are the inheritors of a proud legislative tradition in Hawaii. I've been privileged to be a part of that tradition. I love legislating. I love legislating. It represents the very core of democratic freedom. And so I speak to you today, yes, as a former colleague, as much as I do as governor. Our people want us to act now. They have charged us with the responsibility and obligation to move forward now. If it was easy to solve these questions, we wouldn't be dealing with them, we wouldn't be asking them. But we wanted to meet these challenges. We asked the voters to allow us to do so. That's why we're here. That's why I said, at its heart, politics is about doing good and relieving suffering. That's why I said, if politics is done right, it's about making life better for people. Let us resolve then not to get lost in the noise of the moment. Rather, let us seize the moment to act with confidence in ourselves, confidence in the people of Hawaii, and confidence in a future we determine. The clock is ticking, the time is now. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor Abercrombie. On behalf of the Senate and the House of Representatives, I would like to thank you for sharing your mana'o with us and with the people of Hawaii this morning. The new leadership in both houses pledge to work collaboratively with you and your cabinet as we formulate and frame the right questions to address the challenges facing our state. Yes, the answers are abound. So let's move together to agree on the right answers. So with no further business, I declare this joint session adjourned.